Good morning, everyone. Thank you to those pupils who have been consistently posting and responding to Miss Lennon. Remember, the learning must go on. You were given a packet, or it is in Google Classroom, or Miss Lennon emailed it to you of the work that we are doing. So it's all the same, okay? Whether you have that packet that your parents picked up, or whether you're using the one I sent to your email or in Google Classroom. All you need is your notebook or loose leaf paper, and you're following along. And as Miss Lennon is uploading her video, she's going to ask you to post certain answers to the questions she asks you for. Okay? Our essential standard is to analyze exploration and expansion in terms of its motivation and impact. Your learning target, I can explain how the age of discovery helped to shape the modern world. Okay, if you have not watched video one, the video before this, and I need you to go back and watch it so you'll have a better understanding of the topic that Miss Lennon is teaching you today. Now, the first thing that I want you to think about today is how news is spread, okay, or even rumors at school, okay? So, today we have television, we hear it on the radio, we have social media sites that we can find information on, all of these things that we use today. But also, word of mouth is important. It was especially important to early explorers because they didn't have all the things that we have today. Back then, people relied heavily on word of mouth. So, hearing stories from other explorers or sailors intrigued the interest of the people that were hearing it, and that led them to start their own adventures. Imagine hearing tales of singing mermaids, lots of gold and treasures, land on top of land, a fountain of youth, indigenous people and cultures. These tales and more were a motivation for exploration. I have included in your packets eyewitness accounts of sea creatures. These are primary source documents and descriptions of what some early explorers claim they saw. I would like for you to add day 1, task 2, 5, 6, 7, and 8 to the comment section under this video. Now, in the last video, we talked about trade being the driving force behind the age of discovery. Remember that salt was an important good for our early explorers. It could preserve their meat a bit longer on board. And if their meat was already spoiled or rotten, they could put the salt on top of it to try to kill the stench of it so that they could eat it anyway. In another portion of your packet, we talked about one of North Carolina's most famous pirates, which is Blackbeard Edward Thatch or Edward Teach. They're unsure of his last name. The first pirates were hired by government officials to attack and loot Spanish ships. Remember, this is at a time when countries are fighting over new lands and deciding who's going to get what in the Americas before it was known as the Americas. Okay? Eventually, pirates started raiding any ships, enemy or not. And when it began to get out of control, the government wanted to end piracy. However, some pirates, like the Englishman Blackbeard, did not want to give up his job as a pirate. He molded his own identity using what some historians will call voodoo, black arts, or even black magic. Even though a pirate's motive isn't always good, their occupation was a motivation for exploration. I also asked you to recall the 3Gs in your packet. You should have heard about this in middle school. Okay, it's a great way for you to remember why explorers explored or what their motivations were, and that's God, glory, and gold. And I asked you to go in a little bit deeper with the meaning of these three things, okay? So underneath this video, I would also like for you to add number 6, 7, and 8. And please don't forget to write incomplete sentences. Your day 2 activity, task 1, was called bumper words. You were to bump the word that didn't belong. And your day 2, task 2, was to write the vocabulary, define them, and add a picture. You've done this twice in class before. Right there on your Chromebook, you will snap a picture of both of these things, your bumper words, okay, and your vocabulary terms. You'll take a picture of that and you will post it in Google Classroom underneath where I have bumper words and vocab. Your day 3 task was all about the Columbian Exchange. Before the Columbian Exchange, there was Christopher Columbus trying to find a sponsor for his trip. He claimed he wanted to find a shorter, faster route. He had been to numerous monarchs with this proposal. So let's think about things that we need for a trip, okay? Because Columbus is getting ready to make this journey, okay? What are some things that you would need for a field trip? If we wanted to plan a field trip, let's say to the state fair, what do we really need? First, we need permission, right, from Dr. Hester from the Board of Education. Okay, so we get that. We're telling them why we're going. This is the same thing that Columbus has to do. What is the benefit of going on this trip? Many explorers sought permission from monarchs so that they could get the support that they needed for these trips. We need buses to go, just like the explorers need ships to sail. We have to find a driver for our bus, and explorers are getting a captain and a crew together to make these journeys, okay? We tend to take lunch with us or make plans for lunches. They have to have all of that on board, or someone who can cook and make sure that they have food, right? We need to buy things like souvenirs, so extra money is important. What about a cell phone for pictures? Every time we go on trips, we love to take photos of where we have gone. Well, they didn't have cell phones back then, but they were taking artists on board or other people like scientists who could help study the plants and the things that they were seeing in these new lands. And we also have a plan for emergencies, just like the early explorers knew. So nothing is new. Time has changed, but the motivations haven't. I want you to replicate the Columbian Exchange chart. It does not have to look exactly like what you see, okay? If you type in Columbian Exchange and hit images, you'll see many different things, and you can make yours to your liking, okay? You will also snap a pic of this and you will upload it in Google Classroom, where I will have a link for Columbian Exchange. Okay. Thank you, and let me know if you have any questions.